Hey everybody. Welcome to Sunday Yin and Yoga with Simone. Thanks for being here. Okay. Grab yourself 2 blocks for practice. And we're going to get started in about a minute because we're going to start at 8:01 Pacific and 11:01 Eastern. Just going to make sure all my sound is good. And just give it a little pause here. Okay, if you're ready to go, guys, hi. Just a little technical stuff here. Just make sure that you have your 2 blocks, and when you're ready, lie down, have those guys near you. And as we get onto our back body, I want you to bring the soles of your feet together and knees wide, butterfly pose. And we'll settle in right away to that. A little open hip business. All right. Sundays are for settling in my estimation. It's a time to get a little more restful, decide to have longer time frames with the things that you choose to do. So right here and now, even as we get off to a slow start, let's let that just be a little bit of opportunity in terms of how we settle in to this practice. And then wherever your arms are, you're going to interlock the hands behind the head. Elbows wide, naturally wide as they fall. And if you feel like your elbows are really rised up and you're tight in the shoulders, see about maybe putting a block behind your elbows. You can do that just so you can soften into the open space here. We're going to be here for a couple of minutes, just letting this be the first official pose of our yin. Of course, I said in the chat today, there's no playlist per se, but you're welcome to let anything but be by your side, especially one of the yin playlists that I've made in the past on Spotify. My handle name is My Friend Simone. If that's important to you, feel free. If you need to, you can shift and move to make that happen. And then return here and soften down, because we'll have a bit of time here. Once you're softened into the pose, once you're still to the setup of your asana, your pose, Just taking a deep breath in and feel the slight little rise of your belly here. And a slow breath out to feel the fall of your belly. You can close your eyes. Yin is good for that. As you settle into stillness, you can close your eyes to shut out any kind of visual distraction. But even as we close our eyes, there's a kind of visual behind the eyes. Sure, it's mostly black and dark, but you might even just be mindful to what that visual is. And then if you notice yourself reaching for anything, just follow your breath, whether it's reaching for specificity in the visual behind the eyes that are closed, or whether it's reaching for a kind of thought that travels by, or a story of events, to-dos. And in the practice of yin, we just follow the inhale and then the exhale. In your state of awareness, you might just notice sounds, whether it be your playlist or distant sounds outside of your home, or even the sounds inside of your home. And in this practice of awareness, you can notice those sounds, but you may also notice how we don't necessarily control when those sounds start, come, and go. And in noticing those sounds, you decide not to drive those sounds into story. You're just noticing and come back to the breath. We're more than halfway there with this first pose. Supta Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose, supine butterfly. And you might just notice not only an awareness to sounds, visual, but can you also feel how your body is adapting to this? And there may be a slight change as to how it was at the beginning and how it is now. Is there more space across the front body? Is there more space through the inseams of the legs? Is there more open through the hips with the weight of the knees? a little longer, about another minute. Take 3 more breaths. Perhaps you explore a little more in the capacity of an inhale, in the capacity scope of your exhale. And as you sneak your hands out from under your head and separate those interlocked fingers, you might feel a little bit of residue in the fingers and then the hands from the heavy of the head to them. You can wiggle them out, move them around. Feeling the life that's brought back to them. The oxygen flow in through the body, right through to the fingertips. And the magic of resetting. And then taking your hands to your outer thighs, closing your knees like a book, and moving through that slow and steady as the knees rise up, soles of the feet on the mat. And breathe in and out. And then come up to a sit, whether you roll over to a side or not, or you just sit up slow and steady. Find the sit of your sit bones grounding to your mat to propel length in through the spine. And take your block, your prop, whatever you're using for a stack. Some people use rolled up towels as per my suggestion. And you might be able, if you're using a block proper, to do a little higher. So you'd set it like this on your mat behind you, horizontally, to catch your upper back shoulder blades. And then you take the second prop. And if it's a block, you could go a little lower, set it behind you so that you see a T behind you. That second block that's going to catch your head is vertical. And you try it on a couple times till you feel that first prop hit across your back body behind your shoulder blades, essentially behind the heart of your chest body. And then you reach for that second block to catch your head so that your head hangs lower than your heart. And then you'd step your legs wider. And if it's okay with your neck body like this, you'd stay put. If you can't really ground your head to something, then you want to raise that second prop that's underneath your head to the same height as what is happening in your chest body so that you get a little bit of push open through the chest and a little bit of arch through your upper spine. It's totally natural that this stimulates a bunch of things, including stimulation in your thyroid gland, but also in through the sinuses sometimes, and you might feel, if you're dealing with any sinus stuff, a little fullness in the ears. If you're interested in this, if you're interested in kind of stimulating movement there, you can stay put. Because what we feel sometimes here front and center is stagnation energy being uprooted, being poked around a bit. And anything that gets stuck and then lifts and moves around has the opportunity to not only move about, but move out. It's good to poke anything that's stuck. And then return to closing your eyes when you find the place that is still in this shape. And commit to the journey that is stillness in this yin pose, supported fish pose. Notice the visual behind your closed eyes. Notice if you're grasping on to seeing, thinking. Can you let go of anything that you notice as a passing thing? Try and drop into deeper breaths that also might bump against the shape, meaning you might feel how it impacts the shape. If you take a deeper breath in, what you'll benefit to get is a deeper breath out, which also helps to ground in the shape, to let go. properties of this pose are so good. It's really the antithesis to being hunched over a computer or looking at your phone lots throughout the day. And so you may just feel a deeper sense of awareness to the counter of all of that. That might have been your part of your week. For the last minute of time, if it's helpful to do a scan of the body and imagine that the lights are bright, and whether going head to toe or toe to head, just dim the lights up or down the body so that there's a little less charge. To slowly come out of this pose and make our way to Shavasana just to neutralize the back body. You take a hand behind the head, help your head up, pause as you get your chin and your gaze a little higher than your chest, and then hold your head up with a little squeeze of the belly and grab the outsides of your mat and press down through the elbows and upper arms to sit up. And you're going to remove your props and lie back down to a neutral expression of your spine. To almost sigh relief down. Before we get back up to a sit, it might help to do a little counter active pose here. I call it pie in your face. It's something I've gotten out of some of my physiotherapy. So you lightly tuck in your chin to make your neck long and ground the back of your head, and then press into the base of your head onto your mat, like your pie in your face is coming towards you and you're kind of working your head back away from it. And then hold. It'll do a little squeeze through the cervical area, neck body for 3, 2. And then you can untuck your chin and let go of that squeeze and press of the back of the head down. And slowly sit back up. And take only one of your props, using the block. It's going to be at the lowest height. And as you lay back down, it comes across more of the mid section of your body thoracic spine. So as you lie back down, it's important to keep your butt rooted. Your mid-spine gets that lift. So it's down lower the length of the spine, and it's really pressing your ribs open. You might need to up and down your prop to find the sweet spot for your spine to base down on. And then your head should be on the floor, your mat again. But you will be open through the neck body, and you'll feel more almost the crown of your head, not quite there yet, grounding to the mat. And if it's possible, step your heels a little wider. Get more space through the inseams of the legs. And feel that kind of push open through the rib cage. And then bring in breath right into these sweet spots of the rib cage, the center of your chest, the center of your belly. Inhales to exhales. Again, you can try with eyes closed, but then there's this still kind of awareness behind the eyes for all the space around. Or you can soften through the gaze with the eyes open. Regardless of what you choose, that awareness is including your peripheral vision, but it's also attaching to nothing specific. It's just this wide open space of inhale and exhale to help you ground a little more sweetly to this. I'm not here for quite as long with this one. He's a little more intense for sure. And whether you scan head to toe or toe to head, try move through the body to dim the lights of activity. To come out of this pose, take your hand behind your head again and lift your head and gaze a little higher than your chest and belly. And same thing, grab the outsides of the mat, press into your elbows, and sit up super slow. And take your lie down again to enjoy resting to whatever is neutral in your body and to whatever follows the journey of letting go and releasing. Hold on to nothing. And on your next breath, you're going to come back up through the bend of the legs. So back body to the mat, lying down. And as you come up through the bend of the legs, the knees point straight up to the sky, soles of the feet ground. You might feel a little sweetness in your lower spine from that last pose. And you'll take one of your props again. And you'll take your prop either to the, if you're using a block, the lowest or the medium height. Not the tallest, guys. Okay, don't go vertical. Too much. So the lowest or the medium height, you press through your feet. And you're going to sneak this block underneath your sacrum for supported bridge. Back bend supported. So pops your sacrum up to prop your pelvic floor a little higher. The block should not be at your butt cheeks. It should be a little higher than your bum cheeks so that it's truly at the base of your spine. And then you just ground into that and soften all through the legs and the glutes so that maybe your legs go a little wider, or maybe they lean the knees towards one another. For me, it's going wider and wider as I soften in that. You can feel, if you have your hands at your hips, this kind of opening, the hip creases getting more relaxed. And if you want to add on, it's totally okay and possible to open the arms up into a kind of T or cactus. And it's really soft bend in the arms if you're doing cactus, to make space for your shoulders being soft and relaxed. And so essentially we've worked our way down the spine from the top half to the bottom, to open up through the back body, but to also message our front body. And just notice how deeper breaths in for longer breaths out impact your pose. Just notice what's changed in the physical body, how your lower spine might feel different, and how that translates towards your front body, your hip creases, and across the pelvic floor. So much of what we do, or feel more importantly, in terms of the limitations in the body, are due to hips and lower spine and them working together. And in this pose, you can feel how they're partners in sometimes crime and sometimes in a blissful connection and letting go of the body. And we're here for a little bit longer, and there may be a sweeter spot to inhabit. And I want you to really be mindful to what I'm suggesting here. You could go longer with the legs, which would intensify the opening, the sensation really. Or you could just really focus on letting more go, kind of moving through the head to toe, toe to head thing, to dim down the lights, the charge in the body. If you go longer with the legs, it might intensify it to get in the way of release. And that's what I want us yogis to be aware of. Are we choosing something that's made it just harder, tougher? And can you let go of pursuing that if that's a goal that you normally take on? For the last 3 breaths, make these 3 breaths kind of long and steady. So maybe inhaling for the count of 4 to exhale for the count of 5. As we're coming out of this, just kind of lightly check in with your legs. If they're long, you're going to need to bend them. Put the feet on the ground on your mat. And if they're bent already, you're going to need to take your arms forward. Help your knees kind of get a little more center, a little less relaxed in the legs, so that you can ground through the feet. Press up a bit, lift the sacrum, lift the bum, and sneak the block or prop out to come down slow, like you're moving through honey, until you set your lower spine down. Maybe even as you set the lower spine down, you kind of lengthen the spine to walk the shoulders up your mat a bit so that you can ground through the lower spine a little more effectively. You can keep the legs bent here. In fact, you can heel toe or toe heel the feet wider, almost to the edges of your mat if not there. And then knock the knees in towards one another, lean up against one another here, relax through the lower spine. Take 2 more breaths here in this neutral place. A little reset, a little rebound. And then as you knock your knees away from one another, and maybe heel toe the feet a little closer to one another, we're going to take our props, maybe slide them up away from framing your hips on either side of your mat. And then from here, I just want you to cross your right ankle over your left thigh. A kind of figure number 4. And then as you cross your right ankle over your left thigh, we're going to wave the legs to the right until you fall the right knee close to the mat and you ground through the insides of your left foot. And you'll feel a little decent stretch through your left side and pulling through and into your left hip. Now, if you feel there's a little bit too much suspension of your right knee from the floor, you could slide one of your props kind of to the outside of your right knee so that it helps you to ground and stay put here without working too much in the legs to support the shape. You might try and close your eyes here. You could rest your hands at the top of this left rib area so that you're a little more aware to the line of energy and sensation from that place into the left hip crease. You might be able to feel for your hands meeting your breath in and out. Because of course, as you inhale, this space underneath your hands will rise a bit. And then it'll fall a bit as you exhale. notice if you're trying to hold on. That might look like manufacturing the shape rather than letting go into it. That might feel like a little bit of charge through the body, whether it be in the grit of the teeth, in the fist of the hands. Keep choosing a bit of softness rather than holding on. I once had a YIN teacher describe to me that holding on would look like if you were trying to hold on to water with your hand and you were making that fist and you were trying to hold on to water, what would happen? So as it would fall through and be impossible to hold on to, can you shift your perception towards these poses to be the same as holding on to water? You're going to take your right hand to the outside of your right thigh and knee, just almost as a little sweetness and gentleness, and press through the inside of the left foot and bring the legs back up. Figure number 4, you might feel a kind of shift of the bum and the hips to the left. So you can walk your left foot back to neutral and center and shift the bum and the hips more neutral to center. And then you can keep your figure number 4 here. Try and relax through the right knee. Breathe in. And then just let your legs, both of them in this shape, fall to the left now for a kind of twist until your right foot is grounded on the floor to the outside of your mat. And as you twist, you might walk your upper back a little bit more to the left and then look over your right shoulder. And you'll feel sensation across your right side now, into your right hip crease, maybe down through your right sit bone and glute, into your thigh a bit. And can you follow that line of energy to breathe in, almost across that line, or along that line? And then breathe out. To come out, you're just going to rock your head back to center if it's looking over that right shoulder. You might flip your palms to press down onto the ground, a little bit of grounding there. And then as you press in through your palms and to the outside of the left foot, bring your legs back up. Left sole of the foot to the ground, maybe heel toe, so that there's a more neutral center of hips. Uncross the right leg long. Make the left leg long. Right leg should probably be a little longer than the left, and stay put here for a couple of breaths. And then bend the right leg and put the right sole of the foot on the mat. And cross the left ankle over the right thigh. And take your breath in and let your legs fall to the left until you feel the grounding of the inner right foot and a little sensation and pull through your right side, different than what we just felt on the right side through the twist. And if you feel suspension through this left leg, like it's kind of trying to hang out here, then just prop any amount of your prop. Maybe it's sliding even the corner of that prop in to support the outside of the left knee. And you can rest the hands across or on top of the right rib area here and just feel breath coming in and breath leaving. Check into the things you're aware of. It's totally okay and in line with mindfulness to notice sounds, notice thoughts that pass by, but can all of what you notice move on by with a breath in and a breath out? Capturing 3 more breaths here. Grounding through the inside of the right foot. Lifting the legs back up, maybe with a hint of the left hand to the outside of the left leg. Figure number 4. You might need to center your hips. Relaxing the left knee here. And taking a breath in. And then just letting the legs now fall to the right until the flat of your left foot grounds to the outside of your mat. You feel that twist through your left side. You feel the outside of the right foot land. You might even kind of walk your upper back body a little more to the right and then look over your left shoulder. And then you'll just feel for what's sensation, stretch across your left side, almost from that outer left thigh all the way up through the seat, rib cage. You can feel for a little more impact, especially when you breathe big, in and out through the nose. So as we near the end of this practice, but before we let go of this shape, just being aware of your last 3 breaths and what you can give to your shape here. It's never too late to adopt something important, meaningful. And so one of the things that this practice challenges is our perception of doing. Because there's a whole lot of not doing when we show up to these poses. And so whether you're attaching yourself to having gotten something done, or even sometimes the judgment and shame that comes with letting go, being still, being at ease. It's important maybe to just recognize if any of that could be our story. Because this has been a whole lot of letting go with the hope of doing nothing here today. Take one more breath in. And a sigh out. You're going to rock your head back to center. Press your palms down flat to the ground. Press into the palms and maybe to the outside of the right foot and bring the legs back up. Figure number 4, legs. As you heel toe the right foot more into a neutral place to center the hips and the bum. Ground through the back body. Feel the release of the chest into the back body. It's like it's melting all the way through. And then lengthen your left leg. And then lengthen your right leg. Oh, and stretch into your final Shavasana here. You might even lift your head, tuck your chin in along your neck. And the ask will be, can you make space for a little more? Nothing. Can you release yourself of having to do something? And sweet dreams, everybody. And namaste. Take care of yourself. Lots of love.